Hey there everyone, and welcome back to the Reactjs training, and I expect that everybody was able to create the third route pretty easily with the third component. So the process is really simple. Right click on the source, create a new file, and we are going to call this as 3.js. Pretty easy. And go into any of that, copy that, and into the 3.js we are going to paste it in here. Use a multi-cursor select there. And by the way, I'm pressing my command key. You can press your control key if you're on a PC, and we're going to say 3 and save that. And it's taking a little bit while. The rainbow wheel of death is rotating on my screen somehow. I believe it's going to go in a second. Okay, it's gone now. Things are saved. Took a little bit while. Okay, we can close this too. We can even close this one. We don't need it. And the next thing that we need to do is define a route for it. Before that, let's import that component. So use a multi-cursor again, and we need to import 3. Save that. Command-Shift-D to duplicate that, and again we can just do two things once. 3. There we go. Save that. And the link is not displayed because we haven't displayed in app.js. Command-Shift-D, and this is going to be again 3. Save that. And the third link has appeared, and as we click on the 3, the third component is being served to us. Okay, that is good, but you might be saying, hey, components are being served. Where am I gonna use the childs? The childs are not being called in yet because we don't need the childs yet. This is just the basic the direct relationship where we don't need the child. We'll be needing the child in a second. Right now, let's just try to think that, okay, when I say 3, that the URL is serving me 3, that what happens if somebody mistypes it, or maybe the link is wrong and there's an extra E there. So we need to take care of the default scenario as well. So let's just go in here, and I would be saying no match for this. You can pretty much call it 404JS or whatever you like to call it. I'll just create a new file and I'll call it as, okay, type it in here. I'll call this as no match.js, and basically it's going to have exactly the same thing what we have in the 3.js. Copy that and paste that. You can make it really beautiful, but I'm going to just say simply like this page is not on our site, or this page does not exist. Okay, that's it. And what I'll be doing now is I'll go into my index.js if I can find it. There we go. And I'll define, and this, make sure that you understand this thing, that this no match route should be at the end of the route. That is always a good practice. So let's just hit Command-Shift-D, and if I need to add more routes, I will be adding that before this default route. Okay, right now we don't have anything, so I'll just say in the path I'll write asterisk for any path. And notice, if you'll just put this at the top, it will say any path, and these things will be overwritten. But if you are defining few things there, and at the end you are saying, hey, these paths are being defined, but if you find anything else than that, then this is for anything. Okay, and this is gonna just go to no match, and no match there. Obviously we have to import that, otherwise it's gonna complain, it's gonna yell at us. So let's just delete the 3, and we're gonna call no match there. Save that. And now we are on to 3 component, and if we add an extra E there, it says page does not exist, or maybe you type anything else there, it's gonna just serve this page doesn't exist. Okay, now let's just finally do one more thing. That would be our 4th component, and inside the 4th component we'll be serving few other components as well. That would be interesting. Okay, so how we can do that? First of all, let's define what is our 4th component. So let's just call this as 4, new file, and that will be called as simply 4.js. and inside the 4.js we are going to just copy everything, and let's just paste that. And for right now it's just gonna call as 4. So let's just do that quickly. It's very easy. You might be pro in that by now. And let's just go in here. We want to import the 4 as well. Importing order doesn't really matter, so we'll be just importing there. And 4, and let's just duplicate this 3 guy. As I said, this should be at the bottom always, so let's just go and click there. Oops, there and there, and we're gonna say simply 4, and we need to just put the link there as well. So we're gonna go into app.js and we're gonna simply say Command Shift D, 3 there, 3 there. We'll change that to 4. Save that, and again we have got a 4 there. I'm a 4 component. Okay, so no big deal there. Now let's just say inside the 4, let's go into first of all index.js, and inside the 4 we have more routes that we want to serve. So how you can do that? Now if you want to serve route inside the route, all you have to do is break this route. So for example, this is the ending close of the route. We'll just hit enter there. Now notice we are moving into the one part of the indentation, and what you have to do is simply you have to define your new route there. Okay, that's the path, point number 1. So path is equals to gonna be, and now let me show you another interesting path. Like for example, we are already into the 4, and now in the slash you might want to run this path with some unique IDs that being served. Right now we are gonna just call them as simply ID. You can call them anything, and when this is being called, you need to serve a component, and that component would be like 4.1. So it's gonna be, right now the component is not defined. Obviously I'm doing it a little bit wrong. Okay, now it's gonna call as 4.1, and obviously we need to close this, so I'll just close it. Now right now I'm doing it as self-closing, but obviously you can do a complete full closing like this one as well, no big deal there, and we're gonna just do it for 1 only. Okay, so there is our 4.1, and all we'll be doing is creating one more that says 4.1. okay, and before we do that even, let's just go into the 4.js, and I'll save this guy, and I'll go right now. Obviously it's gonna throw us an error because 4 point is not defined, so we'll be defining the 4.1 in a second. Just bear with me for the error, and let's go into the 4.js, and what I want you to do is import the link in here as well first of all. So we are gonna do is import 4, or import link actually, and this is gonna be imported from React-router. Okay, now we can use the link. So I'll go inside this, just below this h1, and I would be using, or we can actually copy and paste this from somewhere, maybe index.js. Nope, in the app.js. So we can copy this, and we'll go into the 4.js, paste that in here, and obviously we need to close the UL. There we go, now it's happy, and now the link is gonna say that already you are into 4, and now you'll be doing is 1, 2, 3. Now this 1, 2, 3 is usually served as a unique ID that automatically generates from the database, that will for sure generate from in our later on videos, but right now it's just completely okay. Okay, and we're gonna say simply like 4.1. okay, there we go. Save that. Okay, that is good so far. Now next thing that we want to do is create a 4.1. right now we haven't created the 4.1, so let's just go into the index.js, and it's 4.1. so let's create this guy. New file, it's gonna be 4.1.js, and all we are gonna do is copy all of the things in here and paste in here. Obviously we have added a lot more than what we needed. Let's just get rid of these things. I am 4.1. Save that. Okay, that is good. Now let's resolve our error, which is in the index.js. So let's go in here. I know I'm doing a lot of things, but bear with me. Command Shift E, and we're gonna import the 4.1. 4.1, save that, and notice now you'll see something strange in here. As I click on the 4, it says 4.1, but as I click on the 4.1, it doesn't serve me 4.1. Now this is where I said that when these kinds of things, you are doing just one thing, like you are defining your routers, but you are not calling the children. And where you have to call the children's, where you are supplying indentations. Like for example, I'm serving components inside the for, then I need to call my children's inside the for. So I'll go in here and have to call my children's in here wherever I need to serve the page. So for example, I'll call them here, and this is going to be this dot props dot children. Okay, and save that. As soon as I save this, notice I have 4.1 is being served now. So automatically what happens when you define these subroutes, things are already working, but they are being stored into a property name as children, and you need to serve them. Wherever you want to use them, you can just serve them. And notice, I'll go back in here. Notice 4 is there. As I click on this, automatically it's routed to 1, 2, 3. And if somebody add anything else, like for example, maybe slash there, or maybe s there, or anything, it will be not be served our default page. Notice we are just serving I'm 4.1. I can add more things in here, and notice still it's serving because we haven't defined the default there. So for these kinds of things, again, you have to further redefine your defaults as well. After the for, anything else comes on. Apart from these, you have to redefine your defaults. Okay, I know this was quite a long thing, and that is why I've created that into a separate project so that you can look out to the routing as well. I can completely understand routing is not an easy to understand in the one go. So I would say just keep practicing. I'll quickly remember and revise you the things so that you can understand. The first and foremost important thing is create a new file or create a new component. Okay, that is one.js. So you have created that. Now the second thing would be, obviously you might want to give it a link. So go into app.js and use the link from React router and give it a link to wherever you want it to be gone. Okay, now most important part is in index.js, where you have to simply define a route in place of your app, and you have to call this component. This is super important and just should be there. After that, you have to define two things in your route, the path and what component should be served. Pretty easy, looks easy, yes. But when we go into the indentation part or routes inside the route, it becomes a little bit confusing. I agree on that. But with the time, things will be easy with you. So this was all about the routers, and maybe we will use them in some of our the projects that we'll be doing. And I'll catch you up in the next video.